All it took was one offhand comment, and I became a victim. Whoa, Smitty, someone is showing their age. Yeah, aren't we all, you rude little If your new doctor seems to be about 9 years old, or you've started to notice that people call you sir or ma'am, you might think that middle age sucks. That's why I'm here. We can get through this together. Hold on, just a sec. Let me get my reading glasses so we can look at the lighter side of midlife on 50 Sucks. I recently enrolled in a professional training program for a new career. I'm either really self-assured or legally blind, but I hadn't noticed right away that I was the only person over 50 in the group of 10 or so. No, I was the only person over 40. No, wait. I was the only person over 30 in the group. I got along with my classmates wonderfully. We joked, supported each other, helped each other. It was a really nice collegial atmosphere. One day, we were all in the computer lab, each of us working on whatever we were working on, and a group of the younger folks were chit-chatting in one end of the room, and it was getting louder and louder and louder. And I finally said, "Yo, can you guys chill out? I can't even hear with my headphones on." One of them said, "Whoa, Smitty, someone is showing their age." I was stung. It hurt. One little comment, probably said in innocent jest, marginalized me, made me feel like I didn't belong, diminished my self-confidence, and created a chasm between me and my colleagues. And it made me mad. I wish I'd had the presence of mind to say what I thought of later. Yeah, we're all showing our ages. But no, I was so stunned that I waited till I got home later, and I cried. That was just the latest in a steadily growing list of encounters I've had that underline the fact that I'm getting older. I didn't notice it at first, but now that I've become aware of the concept of ageism, I'm hyper-aware of when it rears its ugly, admittedly mostly unintentional, head. Store clerks call me ma'am. Shoot, even the cop who pulled me over called me ma'am. Never mind that he was about 12 years old. And listen, I'm not so sensitive that I get all bothered when my age is a factor, but after this one little episode I had, I wanted to find out what others were saying about ageism. It's a societal problem, and it's a particular issue for women in midlife. I'm not talking about little stupid comments like the one I just told you about. I'm talking about real obstacles for women in the workplace, dating, education, and society in general. And it doesn't just happen to we normal schlubs. When Star Wars The Force Awakens was released in December 2015, Carrie Fisher, who has played Princess Leia since the beginning, got a snoot full of body shaming and ageism, not to mention sexism. Like this tweet from Surfer Joe. "You didn't age well, and you sucked in Star Wars. It was a rest home flick. Want my money back." Just a side note, I didn't see any tweets about Harrison Ford's aging, but okay, that's another matter. But you gotta love Carrie Fisher, whether you like her acting or not. Her comebacks were priceless. She tweeted back, "Please stop debating about whether or not I aged well. Unfortunately, it hurts all three of my feelings. My body hasn't aged as well as I have. Blow us, okay?" And later, she tweeted this, "Youth and beauty are not accomplishments. They're the temporary, happy byproducts of time and or DNA. Don't hold your breath for either." You tell 'em, Carrie. And remember the Rolling Stone interview with Madonna from February 2016?
It's the last great frontier. You know, we've fought for the civil rights movement. We've fought for gay rights. There's like so much political correctness where people are not, allowed to say things or would never think of saying things or would never dream of making a discriminating remark or judging somebody because they're gay or because they're black or because they're Muslim or whatever. But it's still the one area where you can totally discriminate against somebody and talk shit because of their age. Only females, though. So in that respect, we still live in a very sexist society. It's just like I said, it's the last great frontier, because women generally, when they reach a certain age, have accepted that they're not allowed to behave a certain way. But I don't follow the rules. I never did, and I'm not going to start. If I have to be the person who opens the doors for women to believe and understand and embrace the idea that they can be sexual and look good and be as relevant in their 50s or their 60s or whatever as they were in their 20s, then so be it.
So I'm seeing that even with the big stars, ageism is often directly linked to sexism. So basically, if you're a middle-aged woman, you're the target of the century. Did you know that 1 in 3 Canadians admit that they've treated someone differently because of their age? 71% agree that Canadian society values younger generations more than older ones. And over half of Canadians say that ageism is the most tolerated social prejudice. So what exactly is ageism? Well, the term was first used in 1969 by Robert Neil Butler, a physician, Pulitzer Prize-winning author, and the first director of the National Institute on Aging. He used the word ageism to describe discrimination against seniors. Oh, and by the way, we're not just talking about Canada here, and the problem is just going to grow and grow because the population is aging and aging. Older workers are the fastest growing demographic in the workforce in Canada and the U.S. Workers age 50 or older are about a third of the U.S. labor force, and more than 60% of workers age 65 or older now hold full-time positions. By 2050, 1 in 4 Canadians will be a senior, and they won't all be doddering fools. Okay, so we're talking about how others see us, but what about how we see ourselves? Are we the worst perpetrators of ageism against ourselves? Have you ever forgotten something and said, I'm having a senior's moment? Or do you think, you can't teach an old dog new tricks? When you see someone walking slowly, do you think they're probably not all with it? If you've said or thought any of those things, you may be surprised to learn you're practicing ageism, stereotyping or discriminating against people because of their age, and I've done it. I remember a team I was leading at work. We were about 8 or 9 women, all mid-40s to mid-50s, and I was joking around and I said something about all these middle-aged broads, ha ha ha. Well, one woman came up to me later and told me she didn't appreciate that at all. I felt awful. I was trying to laugh at myself, and I ended up including someone who didn't want to be included. I was being ageist. I'm not coy about telling people my age. I don't really care. But some people are very sensitive to it, and we have to be aware of that. I'm always for laughing, but not at the expense of others. The thing that makes me sad is when I see people my age and they think they're ancient. I've known too many people my age who have decided that they're in the final chapter of their life. I'll admit, I went through a period when I had some health problems, and I thought that was the end for me. I had a bad knee, and I was limping. Eventually, I used a cane. I had to use the electric wheelchair at Walmart. Yeah, I felt really old. And I had moments when I wondered if this is what it was always going to be like from now on. In pain, depressed, and stuck. I had knee replacement surgery, and voila, I was brand new again, and young, and decided that all the stuckitude I had experienced just had to end, or I'd be wasting the last half of my life. There's this guy named Gary Vaynerchuk. He has a YouTube series on entrepreneurship. I was just kind of trolling YouTube, and I happened upon this episode called So You Just Turned 50. Listen to this guy. He's cool.
You as 50-year-olds are gonna live dramatically longer and healthier than your parents and grandparents' generation. So you sit here at 50, and as a child, what you grew up with, you start realizing like, ooh, where am I in my life? Middle, tail end to middle. And so many of your entrepreneurial and just life ambitions start to dwindle. You start settling in to this is my life, this is how it played out. I could have, I should have. Way too many people are starting to plot their exit, their unwind, and I'm like, Jesus, you may have 50, that's right, with modern medicine, you may have 50 more good years of executing, 40 for sure. I really think, knock on wood, so many of you watching this have 40 full big years. Think back to when you were 10, from that moment till right now, all that life you've got on the back end, and people are trying to wind down and figure out how they're gonna slow it down or wrap it up. Fuck wrapping it up, man, start it up. You're just 50.
As someone who recently took a giant leap from a stable career to a major career overhaul at age 52, I guess I'm most concerned about ageism in the workplace and employment market. If I'm really honest with myself, I'd say that ageism had a little bit to do with why I was just done with my previous career. I was a long-time, loyal employee. I was well-liked by my colleagues. I was effective, even exceptional in some parts of my work. Then there was a change in administration, and when I didn't get a promotion I was hoping for, it was very disconcerting to me that the job was given to someone I had trained, and she became my boss. Now, it wasn't her fault. Good for her. She'll be great for the job. But as embarrassing as it is to admit, it was discouraging to suddenly be managed by someone younger and less experienced than I was. When I dig deeper into the issue, particularly of middle-aged women in the workplace, it appears that I'm not the only one. There is common and regular ageism in the workforce. It's rarely blatant. There are laws against age discrimination, but many employers send subtle messages that the field is ripe for new blood, but not for experienced knowledge. When employees over 50 are passed over for promotions, career opportunities, and training, I wonder why this often goes unmentioned, or at the very least exists under the surface, not to be spoken about openly. Barbara Jaworski, the founder and CEO of the Workplace Institute, says it's because of the myths and stereotypes about older workers that permeate Western society. That those of us over 50 are resistant to change, technophobic, less energetic, less creative, less innovative, don't want to learn new skills and new processes, and are just putting in time until retirement. So why would an employer bother to develop the career of someone who's 55? It'd be a poor return on investment. But that's just not true, is it? Not everyone is like me, thank goodness, making a dramatic leap in careers in midlife. Some people are perfectly happy in their long-time jobs, but if the employer starts marginalizing the 40 and 50-somethings, it makes the end of their careers very unhappy. Sorry, but that's just not fair. Mandatory retirement ended in the United States in 1986. In Canada, it ended in 2012. Since then, surprise, surprise, lawsuits over age discrimination are becoming more and more prevalent. When I'm looking for a new job, I think the thing that scares me most will be one of those standard interview questions, like, where do you see yourself in 10 years? Jeez, do you think I'll get the job if I say, in a nursing home drooling oatmeal? Okay, what about dating in middle age? Well, it's all about the online dating apps, isn't it? I don't know, I think they are, just by their very nature, ageist. They have charming names like OurTime.com or the 50 Plus Club and Senior Match CA for Canadian singles over 50. Really? I'm over 50, but I'm not a senior. Am I? I looked at the ads for one 50-plus dating site. The last line in their promo is, "Many members are well-educated, successful, and young at heart." Isn't that nice? So what does that make the other members? School dropout losers who are on their last legs? Middle-aged sisters who are in the dating game, I do not envy you. Think of all the pickup lines that aren't going to work anymore. Where have you been all my life? What if he or she answers, well, I wasn't born for the first half of it. I guess some of those dating sites for midlifers want to match us with people our own age. But what if you're looking for someone younger than you? I don't mean young like, did you color that yourself? But you know what I mean. I have a mature friend who said she just wants to meet a man who doesn't end every sentence with God willing. So listen, I don't have any answers to ageism, but my take on it is just like my take on most things. I laugh. I'm perfectly willing to laugh at myself and any constraints I have because of my age, like needing reading glasses. But we have to be careful about diminishing ourselves because of society's stereotypes, which are wrong more than they're right. I guess there are some ways we can use ageism to our advantage, like when I go to the movies and I ask for a senior ticket. Even though I'm at least 10 years away from being a senior, the cute little 14-year-old behind the counter thinks I'm ancient anyway, so she never asks me to show ID. I save some money. And sometimes it's fun to play along and get the last laugh. The daughter of a friend of mine was telling me that she saw something on Facebook and then she stopped, really serious and like really earnestly trying to be helpful. You do have Facebook, don't you? Do you know what that is? And I answered, no. What's a Facebook? The music you heard in this episode was all by Texas Radio Fish, Woof Woof, copyright 2015, and Just One Look, copyright 2013. Both pieces are licensed under Creative Commons. My ideas and opinions are mine. I'm Smitty. Thanks for listening.